My name is Rattanaporn. The title of my presentation is The Sound of Southwestern Mandarin in Modern Guilin, a phonetic description of the post-reform generation. This presentation is given at the National Conference organized by the Faculty of Liberal Arts, Thammasat University on 26th and 27th July 2022. I am a faculty member at Shanghai International Studies University. My co-author, Sheng Yiwu, is a faculty member at Shaoxing University. In this first section, we're going to describe our research motivation. The first research motivation is the scarcity of related literature in English. As we have searched the following keywords in title and abstracts in the scholarly database dimensions, we found that these keywords found only 1 to 4 results and no results for Guilin Mandarin. The following screenshots show how we search the keywords. Then we also found the scarcity of related literature in Chinese also. We searched the following keywords in titles in the Chinese scholarly database CNKI, limiting the results to only journal articles and language research fields. As you see, Guilin language found 7 results since 2008, and Guilin dialect found only 10 results since 1982. Another issue that motivated our study was that we found that the existing literature is focused on the disappearing form of the dialect and ignores its current form that has evolved within the changing context of modern China. The existing phonetic and phonological description of Guilin Mandarin and most regional dialects of China rely on the speech data of the monoglossic native speakers, particularly elderly, above 80 years old, who have never learned the official language Standard Mandarin before. This conservative approach particularly serves the purpose of documenting the disappearing forms of language heritage. However, it doesn't serve the purpose of describing the overall linguistic characteristic of the speech community, which has evolved into an officially diglossic speech community. It ignores the fact that the younger generation of Guilin Mandarin speakers are required to learn Standard Mandarin in school and become diglossic. Now we're going to move on to discuss the aim and scope of this study. Drawing on the acoustic method, the present research describes the sound of Guilin Mandarin, which is a subvariety of Southwestern Mandarin, spoken in the modern Guilin city. In contrast to previous literature, the current research utilizes the data of native speakers born after 1978, when China's reform and open up policy was introduced and began to transform all aspects of the society. For example, this generation of native speakers are required to become diglossic. Now we're going to move on to discuss the background information about the city of Guilin and the sites for our field research. As you see in the picture, today Guilin is a bustling modern city renowned for the beauty of the karst mountains that surround it. Guilin Mandarin is largely spoken in the highlighted areas on the map, which is the urban districts of Guilin City. There are approximately 600,000 residents in these areas. The compulsory education law issued in 1986 has enforced every child to learn the national language in school for 9 years. Consequently, these educated people have grown up with a different linguistic identity from that of the older generation. I am from Thailand and am able to speak Mandarin Chinese. I live in Guilin from 2013 to 2016. Most speech data were recorded in 2016 in Guilin. After I moved to work in Shanghai in 2016, the results were constantly confirmed with the informants in Guilin via online communication. The second author is from China, and he was responsible for processing the data on Pratt software while he was doing his PhD in linguistics at Fudan University, Shanghai. The following section describes the methods. Our informants were 4 male and 4 female natives of Guilin Mandarin aged between 18 to 35 years old at the time of the speech data collection. All informants were born after 1978, and all informants first learned Standard Mandarin in school at the age of 7 and English at the age of 12, all according to the compulsory education program of the country. The informant grew up in the urban districts of Guilin City and have never left Guilin more than 1 year. The parents and grandparents of the informants have lived in Guilin for many generations, and all the informants were teachers and students at Lijiang College in Guilin. And the following is the detail of the materials we use for recording. A list of 369 entries mix of mono and disyllable words and short phrases was prepared for the purpose of vowel analysis. This list is an updated and expanded version based on the 1982 list by Yang. On the original list, 41 words were unknown to the informants and then were removed. Another list of 40 mono and disyllable words was prepared particularly for the VOT analysis. The popular North Wind and the Sun passage was prepared for connected speech analysis. And the informants helped us in preparing, verifying, and editing all the materials in Guilin Mandarin. Chinese characters were used to represent the words for reading. And the following is the detail of the acoustic phonetic analysis method. In addition to listening, observing articulatory features, and interviewing the informants, the author processed the speech data in Pratt software for obtaining acoustic phonetic evidence. The vowel diagram plotted from the F1 and F2 values, the VOT values, the tone contour chart plotted from the F0 values, and the spectrographic screenshots represent the results of the acoustic phonetic analysis. This part describes the results of the study. This table showed the consonants we found from the dataset. The analysis found 14 consonant phonemes, all of which are onsets. Only the N sound can appear in the coda. So you can see that there are bilabials, labiodentals, alveolars, palatals, and velars. And based on their manners, there are plosives, affricates, nasals, fricatives, and an approximant. We also did the VOT analysis. In the phrase initial position, we found unaspirated plosives having longer VOTs ranging from 64 to 89.2 milliseconds, and the unaspirated plosives with shorter VOTs ranging from 12 to 26 milliseconds. Okay, let's move to the vowels. The vowel phonemes that we found included 9 monophthongs, 9 falling diphthongs, and 2 rising diphthongs. Let's begin with the monophthong chart. The monophthong charts that we see here representing the location of the vowels, and they are based on the F1 and F2 values which we extracted from Pratt software based on the speech data that we had. The vowels appear in the spectrogram as the peak of energies, so they are quite apparent, observable, and measurable. And anyways, we have to control the data that we use for this analysis. As you see that we have control variables which are the same onsets and the same tone. In this case, we use the ch sound for the onset and the low tone for the tone. Now let's move to the diphthongs. Let us look on the charts. We can see that in order to plot each diphthong, we have to extract 2 pairs of F1 and F2, right? And So on the chart, it shows the transitions from one position to another for each diphthong. And the data that we use here couldn't be well controlled uh, as we did for the monophthongs, because there are limited resources of meaningful diphthongs in the language. So we have to mix uh, like different different onsets and different tones within the same data set for analysis. And I would like to point out one interesting thing here, that there is a significant front-back distance between the two versions of the E sound and two versions of the U sound and two versions of the O sound. And if we did not use the acoustic phonetic analysis, then we wouldn't know their exact places on the charts, and then we wouldn't have the evidence to support us in precisely represent them with the phonetic symbols. So this is the benefits of using this method. Now let us move to the tones. There are four phonemic tones found in the dataset: the mid-level tone, the low falling tone, the high rising tone, and the low rising tone. As you can see that we also had to control the variables such as the onsets and the vowels. And the tone chart that you see here was drawn up with the R script based on the average F0 values of 40 vowels. For each vowels, we extracted 10 points of F0s along its length. This is the syllable structure that we suggest for Guilin Mandarin. The syllable in Guilin Mandarin, based on the analysis of our dataset, should be structured as CVVNT, and all the components within the parentheses are optional. So there must be at least a vowel and a tone for every syllable, and there could be an optional onset and an optional nasal final, and the vowel could be a diphthong or a monophthong. Then this is the last section, the summary. To sum up, we found 14 onsets, 20 rhymes, and 4 tones from the records of the post-reform generation speakers. In the earliest and most cited phonological description of the pre-reform Guilin Mandarin by Yang in 1964 and 1982, Yang found 18 onsets, 34 rhymes, and 4 tones, which are different from our finding. The difference between the above results as well as our finding of many obsolete words from the pre-reform word list could be the result of one, more advanced analytical approach such as the acoustic analysis tools that we have now, which improve the precision in classification of the sounds, or it could be the result of significant language change after 1978, when China's reform and open up policy began to transform all aspects of the society. For example, the establishment of compulsory education and the penetration of standard Mandarin in mass media and at work. So this we can see that there is a possibility that these differences that we have found is the result of the language policy in China. In a few words, not only has the current study discovered phonological and lexical change in the post-reform Guilin Mandarin, but it also challenges the traditional informant selection method and adds to the limited literature on Guilin Mandarin and Southwestern Mandarin. Although difficult to be accepted by the conservativists, we argue that this methodological reform is necessary to improve the comparability of modern Chinese phonologies and grammars. In the last slide, I have listed the literature that I have cited within this slideshow. Thank you very much for your attention and listening for 15 minutes so far. Thank you very much.